This hour...
Don't mention award!
I'll wager you this. I can probably, from your gut response to this situation with the England football men's team, I can probably tell you which way you vote, how old you are, and where in the country you live. Earlier today, the Football Association announced the appointment of Thomas Tuchel as the England men's national team manager, and at the press conference this afternoon, he was asked what is, if we're honest, the only question he was going to get asked.
What would your message be, though, to those fans who would have preferred the England team to be managed by an English coach? And do you understand their position?
I'm sorry, I just have a German passport, but I can just tell them, and maybe all of these supporters also felt my passion for the English Premier League, my passion for the country, how I love to live here and how I love to work here.
In case you missed it, Thomas Tuchel is German. The FA say they interviewed around 10 people for the job, some of whom were English, but they went for Tuchel, who has got the benefit of actually winning stuff at the elite club level, which is actually far more than Gareth Southgate managed as club manager. But Southgate was not just English, he was of England. He had been there and nearly done it. The story of redemption of the man who missed a crucial penalty for England against Germany at Wembley in '96, taking England to tournament glory at Wembley, winning on penalties at the very end he missed his all those years ago, was too perfect. And if England win in 2026, after what would then be 60 years of hurt, it's just not going to matter as much to a manager who didn't spend their youth crying into the sofa on a balmy summer's night as England exited yet another tournament early. It's just not going to matter as much to them, is it? And if that is your view, is that xenophobic? If in your gut you are perplexed, unsure and unhappy about the appointment of a very successful football manager, who is German, to manage the England men's team, is that xenophobia? Nigel Farage, the leader of Reform, is unsure about Thomas Tuchel's appointment. He says this: "I was so proud of Gareth Southgate. At a time when national identity matters more than it has for a very long time, and there is a resurgence in a sense of what it means to be English in an unashamed way, Gareth Southgate fitted the bill incredibly well." Farage says, "This is a retrograde step in my view." Bit odd, because Farage criticised Southgate for being out of touch not long ago when England players took the knee, so he can't have been that proud. Sven-Goran Eriksson, who died recently, faced the same questions as Thomas Tuchel about whether or not he could truly understand what it means to be the England manager. Fabio Capello, the same. In the men's game, no foreign manager has won the World Cup. All the winning managers have been from the country that won it. There have been 0 foreign managers of Brazil in the last 40-odd years. There have been 0 foreign managers of Germany. I think there's been 1 foreign manager of Argentina in that time. Spain, no foreign managers of the men's side. Give me your honest gut reaction to this appointment. And if your reaction isn't, oh good, a bloke who's actually won stuff is managing the football team, then is your reaction xenophobic? Because, be honest, you're torn, aren't you? It all felt a bit 2001 in some of the questions that were asked of Thomas Tuchel when Sven-Goran Eriksson was appointed as the first foreign manager of the England men's football side, about whether he could really truly understand the job.
Yeah, it did. I think the benefit that Tuchel has over Eriksson or Fabio Capello is the fact that he really, really knows English football. You know, he had a hugely successful spell at Chelsea, and I think Tuchel knew today that the best thing for him to do was to talk up his connection with England, how much he loves English football and the English fans, to try to prove people that he is kind of rooted in English football in a way that maybe Capello was not.
Do you think it's going to matter to people that he is not just a foreign manager of the England men's team, because we've had that before, but specifically because he's German?
I don't think it will matter that much. I have to say, I think in terms of the public reaction in the last 48 hours, I think the public have been less worried about the fact he is not English than I thought they might be. Who knows? If we have a bad World Cup, if there's an embarrassing exit, then, you know, people will reach for whatever stick they can find to hit him with. But I think from the start, I think he will start with quite a lot of public buy-in, and I don't think the nationality will be a big issue from the start.
Can you understand why some England fans might be perturbed at the notion that their manager is German?
I can. I don't share that view myself. I do share the view that the England manager ought to be English, simply because I think that is the essence of international sport.
Yes.
You know, if England didn't have a good left back at the Euros, they had to make do.
Quite.
That's how I think it ought to work with management. If you can't find a kind of elite manager from your own system, you should try and take a gamble on somebody else.
Which was what happened to Southgate, really.
Exactly, yeah. Southgate had a few years at Middlesbrough where he'd done fairly well. He had a few years in the under-21s. He was not an elite manager when he took the England job, but he became the greatest England manager of the modern era. So the international management is not just about the strength of your CV. And I think it's a bit of a lack of imagination from the FA, and it also suggests they haven't really learnt the lessons of what made Southgate so good.
And do you think that part of what made Southgate so good was because he had that inherent understanding with the fans about what it meant to take England to a major football tournament and go very, very close to winning it?
Kind of, but I also think what made Southgate so good, and this is what really underpinned the whole thing, was that he wanted to build an identity that was distinctly English. And in English football today, we buy in so much. We buy in foreign managers, foreign owners come in, foreign players. And I think Southgate realised that international football is not just the 21st. The England team is not the 21st club in the Premier League.
Yeah.
You know, it's something which belongs to the whole country, and you have to create a culture and fight very hard to demarcate and defend that identity. And then you'll get players buying into it, and then you'll get the public buying into it. And Southgate understood that better than anyone. And he built a great team, and they nearly got over the line. And I just hope that this new direction that England are going in, we don't start to think it's just the 21st club in the Premier League, because it's not. And we've tried that before, and it didn't work.
You're not a fan?
National humiliation. That's genuinely what I feel.
Why?
Can't do it, can we? We have to get the Germans. There's no greater thrill in international football than beating the Germans, and we have to surrender and tell them that we're not as good as you, and we have to have one of yours showing us how to do it. It's really, really going to take the shine off it big time when we're at the tournament next. It should be, unashamedly patriotic and proud.
Dan, listen.
Yes, go on. Yep.
Imagine yourself in 2026 watching England win in New York or wherever they're going to play the final, I don't know, beating Brazil in the final. You aren't going to give two hoots as you jump around the pub and dance in the street that England have won the World Cup and the manager's jersey.
Right, you're saying, you said when that happens, right? So the 1 in 100 chance that does happen.
So let's imagine that happens. Are you really going to sit there and go, oh, well, it's not the same?
Do you know what? It's so unlikely to happen, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's still England.
We got. Dan, I'll put this to you finally.
Yeah, go on.
Everyone is queuing up now to say that you're xenophobic because you don't want a German person managing England men's football team.
Yeah.
Is that not the definition of xenophobia?
I'll tell you. Let me take a run up at this. Football is someone said it's the most important of non-important things. It's not that important. And it is absolutely xenophobic, and I don't care. Yes, it's a football game. We're allowed to be xenophobic. We all wear our England flags and everything. We all go crazy for that month when the World Cup's on. And it's not that important. No one wishes him harm. We just want our national team to be the best that we can produce.
It's got to be of the nation in every way, even if it means we appoint a manager who's got limited. They give it to me or you. We're the best option because fundamentally we have to be of England.
Well, that's a silly argument. Of course, they're not going to give it to you or me.
No, I know, but you get the point. You have to be of England to be part of the England national team. You feel.
Well, yeah. We want to have the best. We have a lack of good football managers, don't we? But we want to beat the Germans. We don't want to be, have to have their help to beat them.
Dan, thank you for the call. National humiliation. Or just open xenophobia.
I'm Scottish, really, so I'm a little bit biased. But I would always want a Scottish manager for Scotland. When Scotland gets kicked out, then I become an England supporter. And it's not about xenophobia. It's about the old rivalry. We've always had this rivalry between Germany and England since World War One. When we played football against them, on Christmas Day in the thing.
I don't know that was considered to be a competitive game, Jennifer, if I'm honest, on Christmas Day.
No, I know it wasn't a competitive game, but that's where some of our rivalries always been. And to have a German manager, yeah, right, okay, well, we've got that. I just don't think it's right. I don't care what other countries... Why is it not right?
Tell me why it's not right.
Because of the rivalry. It's just I don't care if England win with a German manager. It's not going to be that great whether they've won or what.
Where were you, Jennifer?
Because of that rivalry we've had.
Where were you when the England women's team won the Euros?
Oh, I was saying at Wembley.
You were there when the England women's team won the Euros, and presumably you went crazy because it was an amazing event.
Yeah. But like I said, it's different with the boy. I think it's them.
But the England women's manager, Jennifer, is Dutch. So did you?
Yes, I know.
Did you not? Were you not particularly celebrating really because the England women's football manager is Dutch rather than English?
No, I just think because the men's team has always been put forward first, right? I mean, it's only recently that we started really looking into women's football. We didn't have that when I was growing up. Yeah. And I love it because I've got granddaughters and I've got a daughter.
You don't love it as much as you could otherwise love it were the manager of England women's team not a Dutch lady. Yeah.
No, I would rather... if she was Dutch and British, if she was Dutch descendant and British, I wouldn't mind. If this German guy was British but German descent, it wouldn't have bothered me.
What, like the royal family?
He's a yeah.
They're British of German descent, aren't they?
Huh? Like the royal family. I love the royal family.
Well, they're British of German descent, so that's okay.
Yeah, so they're still British. So if William was our manager, that wouldn't bother me.
That's a fantastic idea. That's what should have happened. Imagine that. Yes, we'd like to announce our new man, Prince William.